Hi guys, thanks for joining me again. I hope you're all doing really well. I'm going to show you today how to make yarn out of your old t-shirts. It's a really simple thing to do. All you need are a really sharp pair of scissors. It really helps if they're sharp. You can persevere with blunter ones, but I'd recommend using some really sharp scissors and an old t-shirt. I've got quite a plentiful wardrobe on the wholly old t-shirt front because most of my clothes are second-hand when they come to me anyway, but I'm sure you'll be able to find some with a stain on or a hole in or something like that. And the way that I'm going to show you how to do it is going to use the maximum amount of your t-shirt possible so that you have minimal waste. So this ball of yarn here is one whole t-shirt, so you get loads of yarn out of one t-shirt. And this is all the waste that I got from that one t-shirt. It's just the label and a bit of thread from the hem and the neckline that couldn't be used. And I'm going to then use this to stuff something else. So I keep all of my scraps of yarn and fabric to stuff cushion covers. So as ever, I really hope you enjoy doing this. It's a really satisfying little project. And it's always quite useful to have this kind of thing lying around for other projects. The yarn that it makes is really great for weaving, for knitting, for crocheting. It's soft and a bit springy. I suppose it depends on how much elastin's in your t-shirt, but over the coming weeks and months I'm going to be showing you various ways of using it, so I'll be thinking up lots of little projects where you can use this yarn. Tag me in on Instagram if you create anything. It's Elka_textiles, and I look forward to seeing your creations. The first thing you're going to want to do with your t-shirt is to remove any bits that you can't make into yarn. So the first thing is the neckline. That's going to want to be removed. And the way to do that is to cut just to the outside line of that seam and just take the whole thing off. And any labels, so we're going to take the label off here and here, and I've also got a pocket here on my t-shirt which I'm going to take off as well. Next thing we're going to do is unpick the seams around the sleeves and also around the hem at the bottom. And I found the easiest way of doing this is starting on the side seam down here and just cutting through the overlocker stitching along the edge. And it's a bit of a fiddle, but it gets you that little bit extra yarn out of your t-shirt. I've just finished the hem there, and you'll want to pick off the little bits of thread left over. And I'm onto the sleeves, and I'm finding with this garment, hats off to Jack Wills for making garments that stick together. I'm finding the easiest way to do this is to slide my scissors up underneath that stitching there, and then with the second layer to go in and just snip a couple of threads, and then that's pulling apart nice and easily. Once you've undone the hem and the sleeve, the seam around the sleeves, you're going to flatten it out, and you're going to cut from armpit to armpit. to separate the top and the bottom pieces. That'll do. And just for the moment, we're going to lose this top piece here, and we're just going to deal with the bottom part of the t-shirt. And you can see you've gained quite a good chunk there at the end. So just make sure that's nice and flat. And then you're going to, with the seamed edge, you want your raw cut edges at the sides. You're going to fold the bottom up to about 1.5 inches from the top there. And it will depend, the width of the cuts that you're going to make will really depend on how thick your t-shirt is. This one's a bit of a medium weight, and I'd say about 3/4 inch is around about the right width. If you've got a really thick t-shirt, you might want to make it a bit shorter, a bit narrower. So I'm just going to cut all the way along from bottom, about 3/4 inch, bottom over that fold there, and I'm going to stop about 1 inch from the top. And this doesn't have to be exact. If you want to use a measure, then by all means do, but it's quite forgiving, the jersey fabric. You're now ready to unfold your t-shirt there. Now, along this top edge, slide your hand all the way through. It can be a bit of a fiddle. Slide your hand all the way through, and then slide it round so that you're lying this spine down here like that. And you can sort of lie all of your strips over to one side. And then what you're going to do with this first cut, you're just going to cut from here to release your first strand, bring it up and round, and then you're going to cut in diagonals all the way along that spine there. So I'm cutting over like that, and then you're bringing that up and round over to that cut, up and round. And this part of the t-shirt will give you your longest continuous piece of yarn. And you will get a little sort of bump in it where the seam is there. Last few to go. All the way round. This is your last one here. And so just round that off like that. There we go. So you have this big pile of fabric here that's one continuous strip that we're going to put to one side while we deal with the top half. First thing you need to do with the top half is to take these sleeves off, and I'm going to do that by cutting firstly along the armpit there and just taking that seam out. And then I'm going to cut around the inside of this seam here, nice and close up to it, so you've got the biggest piece of fabric possible. And then with this piece of fabric, we're going to fold it in half. Try and even them up. The thinner the t-shirt is, the more fiddly it gets. And then once again, you're going to fold this bottom edge up towards the raw edge at the top. And you're just going to cut 3/4 inch slits up like that. And we'll probably leave this one, it's getting quite close to the edge, but you can see then as you unfold it here that you can cut the bottom here and then up at the top here, cut again, and that's bringing it down. And you want it to be a continuous thread so it will come round, and then we can just cut up like this. And then with that one, we'll probably get one more out of it. I'm going to turn it round and cut down towards the bottom like that, and that will probably do. So that can get added on to your pile of fabric over there. You're now going to repeat that step with the other sleeve. You're now left with this little top half of the t-shirt, and you're going to want to remove the seams from round the arms. And you're also going to cut along the seams along the top there of the shoulder, separating the front and the back into two separate pieces of fabric. With a bigger t-shirt, with a less plunging neckline, you could fold it slightly differently, but this is quite a small t-shirt with quite a deep curve in it, so it's going to be easier to work with two separate pieces of fabric. So we'll pop that one up there for a moment and just cut those seams away. Let's pop those to one side. And so with this bit, it's nice and easy. You can just fold that up towards the top and do as you did with your bottom section with the folded edge. Turn that up towards the top, and then we can neaten this piece up here, and then just cut your 3/4 inch strips stopping about an inch from the top there. It's a slightly thicker one on the end, but that's okay. Lie that out, move that one. And so we'll start by cutting at the bottom here. Top, bottom, top, bottom. And that can go on your pile of yarn. We're now going to see what we can do with this top piece here. I'm now just left with this really small scrappy bit of t-shirt, but we can, by folding it over, still make that into a piece of yarn. So if you just fold it over and level it up as best you can, and like I said, this will really differ depending on what style of t-shirt you've got. And I think that I'm going to cut from this side round as that. If I stop there, and then this bit can come round down to the bottom like that. So that's now you can just cut through there, and then this bit, and we can join, actually those bits probably are too short, but we can join these two pieces together. You now have these piles of strips that you can use. The first thing you're going to want to do with them is to smooth off the pointed edges so you haven't, there we go, so you haven't got sort of bits dangling off your yarn. That's that one. So where you've cut them here, you just want to smooth those edges off, and you can also do that as you're making it into yarn. Just give them a little trim around the top there. This one's got a really long one. Now you're going to want to join all of your pieces together, and while you're doing that you'll also make this more yarn-like. And the t-shirt yarn's great because all you need to do is just pull it and the edges roll in and it turns it into a yarn. And again, it will depend on what t-shirt material you've got, but I'll show you with this one here. And you can just do a normal knot in there. You can sew those edges together, but quite frankly it still gives you a little lump, so you may as well just tie a knot in them and then just trim those edges, and then when you're weaving or crocheting or knitting you can just sort of hide those away. So you're going to go through and do that. Now be careful where you've cut up. If you have cut too close to the edge, when you're pulling it out to make the yarn, that can rip quite easily. So just make sure you hang on to those weak points as you're pulling it through your fingers to turn it into a yarn like that. So here's another weak point, so I'll just be more gentle with that there. And then I'm going to attach. You might decide that it's not worth attaching these smaller bits, but I think from a weaving point of view, you can hide these knots quite easily behind other threads, so it's worth keeping them. Now with your pile of t-shirt yarn, you're ready to roll it into a ball. So if you just start wrapping it round itself and just keep going round and round, turning the ball round in your hand as you go. So there you have really quite a sizable ball of yarn from quite a small t-shirt with very little waste left over, which could potentially be used in other projects for stuffing cushions. And, you know, maybe every time you've got a t-shirt heading for the bin, you could make a ball of yarn out of it, and you'll build up a collection of yarns, a nice colour palette. This is quite telling as to how boring my wardrobe is. But yeah, over the coming weeks and months, I'll be showing you various projects in which you can use this yarn in. And thank you very much for watching.